This is the third in our series of Pythagorean theorem lessons. This one's on the Pythagorean Inequalities theorem. So recall that the Pythagorean theorem states that in a right triangle with sides of A, B, and C, where C is the longest side, we have C squared equals A squared plus B squared. But what about triangles that are not right triangles? The Pythagorean theorem does not work. We can't have C squared equal, but let's look at two different cases. If it's not a right triangle, it could be an obtuse triangle, where it has one obtuse angle. We're still going to use the letter C to represent the longest side. We can't call that the hypotenuse anymore because it's not a right triangle, but it is the longest side of those three sides. And we're going to call the other ones still A and B. Well, when we have C as the longest side, the following is true. That C squared, the longest side squared, will be greater than the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Now, case 2 is when we, not an obtuse and it's not right, so our third case, a third type of triangle would be the acute triangle, and we're still going to have C representing the longest side in an acute triangle. So here's an acute triangle. All three angles are less than 90 degrees. We're going to make sure we're going to mark it so that the longest of those three sides is C. We'll keep the other two as A and B. Well, now what we have is we have the square of the longest side, so C squared, is now going to be less than the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So we can put this all together with just one quick little statement here of with C, the longest side in a triangle, we're going to either have C squared equals A squared plus B squared, or we're going to have C squared is greater than A squared plus B squared, or the last case where C squared is going to be less than A squared plus B squared. And for these three different equations, well, in the first case, equal to, C squared equal would be a right triangle. Second case, where C squared is greater than A squared plus B squared, we have an obtuse, and where C squared is less than A squared plus B squared, we have an acute triangle. So this is a way that we can determine, given the three sides of any triangle, we can determine whether that triangle is a right triangle, an obtuse triangle, or an acute triangle by using the Pythagorean Inequalities theorem.